Kody Brown recently became revealed for one of the most disturbing parenting actions in Sister Wives history, and the specifics are completely jaw-dropping. During a recent Patreon live broadcast with Christine Woolley and her spouse David Mykelti dropped a bombshell that has fans shocked. She disclosed that she never received a claddagh ring from her father. That family symbol that Kody made such a significant deal about on the program, the ring that was supposed to represent love, loyalty, and friendship, Mykelti never obtained one. However, here's where it becomes even more shocking. She didn't simply not receive it because Kody forgot or ran out of time. No. Kody deliberately withheld that ring from his own daughter as punishment. He informed her she didn't deserve it. He stated she had to earn it. And the reason behind this cruel decision, it all goes back to a scandal that occurred when Mykelti was in high school. A scandal involving a girlfriend that the cameras never captured. Christine was sitting right there during this discussion, and you could observe the realization washing over her face. For years, Christine believed that Kody had given Mykelti a claddagh ring. She thought her daughter had received this important family symbol. However, the truth is far more devastating. Mykelti had to go out and purchase her own ring. She went on Craigslist as a teenager, found a sterling silver claddagh ring with an amethyst stone, and paid for it herself. Can you imagine how heartbreaking that must have been? Having to purchase your own symbol of family belonging because your father refused to give you one. However, wait, it becomes worse. Robyn apparently informed Christine that Kody had taken care of it. She lied straight to Christine's face and stated that Kody bought Mykelti a ring. This lie kept Christine from fighting for her daughter. It prevented her from confronting Kody about his treatment of Mykelti. And all the while, Mykelti was sitting there feeling rejected, feeling like she wasn't good enough, feeling like she had to earn her father's love. The reason Kody withheld this ring connects to something that never made it onto Sister Wives. Mykelti dated a girlfriend in high school. She explored her sexuality, she had a wild streak, and when Kody found out, he used it as ammunition. He shamed her. He made her feel like she was misbehaving. He turned a family symbol into a weapon of control. Mykelti asked for that ring 12 times. 12 times she begged for something that her siblings received freely, and 12 times Kody told her no. He stated she had to behave. He stated she had to earn it. This isn't just about a ring. This is about a father who made his love conditional. This is about manipulation, control, and the psychological damage that comes from telling a child they have to perform to be worthy of your affection. However, that was just the beginning of this twisted narrative. So, what precisely occurred that made Kody turn his back on Mykelti? What was this scandal that led to years of punishment and rejection? Well, sources reveal it all started with a massive hickey and a girlfriend that the Sister Wives cameras never knew existed. Mykelti was in high school living at Christine's house during the Centennial Park days, and she was dating her best friend. Yes, her best friend was actually her girlfriend. And one night, the two of them had a sleepover under Christine's roof. Everything seemed normal, just two teenagers hanging out. However, the next morning, everything changed. Mykelti came out of her room sporting a massive hickey on her neck. Not a small mark, not something she could easily hide, a massive, unmistakable hickey that screamed exactly what had been happening behind that closed door. Christine saw it immediately, and just like that, Mykelti's secret was out. She'd been experimenting with both genders, exploring her sexuality the way many teenagers do. However, in the Brown family, where purity culture and rigid expectations ruled everything, this discovery became a massive scandal. Mykelti herself opened up about this experience during the Patreon session, explaining that she dated both boys and girls when she was young. She stated she wanted to experience life, to explore, to figure out who she was. She joked about how her girlfriend was like her sister wife, trying to laugh off what was clearly a painful memory. However, the consequences of that hickey were no laughing matter. From that moment on, Mykelti wasn't allowed to have anyone in her room with the door closed. Not boys, not girls, nobody. The rules came down hard, and Kody made sure everyone knew why. This wasn't just typical teenage rebellion that parents laugh about years later. This became the foundation for how Kody viewed Mykelti going forward. She wasn't following the rules. She wasn't behaving the way he wanted. She was exploring her identity and making choices that didn't align with his vision of how his daughters should act. And instead of approaching this with love and understanding, instead of having honest conversations about sexuality and identity, Kody turned it into a character judgment. He decided that Mykelti was misbehaving. He decided she was disobedient, and he used that decision to justify withholding basic family symbols from her. The Hickey incident became just one piece of a larger pattern. Mykelti had a reputation for being the wild child. She threw knives at Aspen. She went to college parties while still in high school and called Christine to pick her up when she got too intoxicated. Christine dealt with all of this with grace, always showing up for her daughter no matter what. However, Kody, he kept a running list of Mykelti's failures. Every choice she made that didn't fit his expectations became another reason why she didn't deserve his love, his approval, or that clad ring. Little did anyone know, the real betrayal was still waiting to be uncovered. The punishment Kody handed down to Mykelti was absolutely brutal, and it went far beyond just a ring. He didn't just withhold the clada symbol from his daughter, he stripped away her bat mitzvah ceremony too. That's right. Kody decided that because Mykelti wasn't behaving according to his standards, she didn't deserve a bat mitzvah either. Think about what that means. A bat mitzvah is supposed to be a sacred coming-of-age ceremony, a celebration of a young person's entry into adulthood within the Jewish faith. It's meant to be meaningful, special, and unconditional. However, Kody turned it into another bargaining chip. Mykelti sat in Las Vegas asking her father for the 12th time if she was going to get her bat mitzvah. 12 times. Let that sink in. 12 separate times, this girl asked if she would receive the same recognition and celebration that other family members got. And 12 times, Kody told her no, or he told her to wait, or he stated she had to behave first. He dangled it in front of her like a carrot on a stick, always just out of reach, always conditional on whether she met his impossible standards. The message Kody sent to his daughter was crystal clear. You have to earn my love. You have to earn your place in this family. You have to perform, behave, and conform to exactly what I want, or you get nothing. Not a ring, not a ceremony, not even basic parental affection. And the cruelest part, Kody framed all of this as though he was teaching her a lesson. As though withholding family symbols and religious ceremonies was somehow good parenting. As though making a teenager feel unworthy was the right approach. Mykelti eventually got so fed up with begging, so exhausted from asking and being rejected that she took matters into her own hands. She jumped on Craigslist and started searching for clada rings. She wanted a sterling silver one with an amethyst stone, something that would match the family aesthetic, and she found one for around $50. She bought herself the symbol that her father refused to give her. She paid for it with whatever money she had saved up, or maybe she borrowed Christine's credit card, though she joked about that part. The point is, a teenage girl had to go online and purchase her own family symbol because her father deemed her unworthy. Can you imagine how that must have felt? Sitting in your room, scrolling through Craigslist, looking at rings that represent love and loyalty and friendship, knowing that your own father won't give you one. Knowing that your siblings got theirs freely, but you have to buy your own because you're not good enough. Mykelti wore that self-purchased ring for years, right up until she met her husband, Tony. It became her symbol of survival, her proof that she could give herself what her father wouldn't. However, Robyn's role in this nightmare was about to get even more sinister. Here's where this narrative takes a truly dark turn, because Robyn didn't just stand by and watch Kody emotionally abuse his daughter, she actively participated in the manipulation, and her role was far more calculated than anyone realized. During that Patreon conversation, Mykelti revealed something that left Christine visibly stunned. Robyn had told Christine that Kody bought Mykelti a clada ring. She looked Christine straight in the eye and lied. She stated Kody had taken care of it, that Mykelti had her ring, that everything was fine. And Christine believed her. Think about what that lie accomplished. Christine stopped fighting for her daughter. She stopped confronting Kody about the ring situation. She stopped pushing for Mykelti to receive what every other family member got freely. Because why would she fight for something that she thought had already been handled? Robyn's lie created a barrier between mother and daughter, a false sense of resolution that allowed Kody's cruelty to continue unchecked. Christine sat there for years thinking her daughter had been included, had been valued, had received her family symbol. Meanwhile, Mykelti sat there knowing the truth, feeling abandoned, wondering why her own mother wasn't standing up for her. However, Robyn's manipulation went even deeper than one lie. Sources close to the situation reveal that Robyn positioned herself as Mykelti's ally during those difficult teenage years. When Mykelti felt like an outcast among her older siblings, when she didn't fit in with the other girls, Robyn swooped in. She made Mykelti feel seen. She made her feel valued. She acted like the one person who truly understood what Mykelti was going through. And Mykelti, vulnerable and desperate for acceptance, fell for it completely. Robyn exploited that vulnerability in the most twisted way possible. While pretending to be Mykelti's savior, she was actually gathering information about Christine's household. She was getting details about what happened at Christine's house, about the parties and the rebellion and the wild streak that Christine handled with grace. And then Robyn would turn around and feed that information to Kody, fueling his judgment and reinforcing his belief that Mykelti was misbehaving. She played both sides brilliantly, making herself indispensable to Mykelti while simultaneously using the girl as a weapon against Christine. The manipulation was layered and intentional. Robyn pitted Mykelti against her own mother by lying about the ring. She created doubt and distance in that relationship. She made Christine look like she wasn't fighting for her daughter when the truth was, Christine didn't even know there was a fight to be had. And all the while, Robyn presented herself as the loving stepmother who cared so much about little Mykelti, who called her my baby, who acted like she would always be there for her. However, fast forward to today, and where is Robyn now? When she talks about buying a new house and having grandkids visit, does she mention Mykelti? Does she talk about Mykelti's children? Does she ever bring up this daughter she claimed to love so much? Absolutely not. Radio silence. The truth about what Mykelti sacrificed for this so-called family symbol was about to become even more devastating. Picture this. You're a teenager, sitting in your bedroom in Las Vegas, surrounded by a family that's supposed to love you unconditionally. And you're scrolling through Craigslist looking for a ring. Not just any ring, the ring that's supposed to symbolize your belonging to this family, the ring that your father gives to his daughters as a sign of love, loyalty, and friendship, the ring that all your siblings have. However, you don't have one, and you're tired of begging for it. You're tired of being told you're not good enough. You're tired of watching everyone else get what you're being denied. So, you take matters into your own hands. That's exactly what Mykelti did after asking for the 12th time if she was going to get her Claddagh ring and her bat mitzvah. After being told once again that she had to wait or behave or earn it somehow, Mykelti reached her breaking point. She was done. She was absolutely done with the manipulation and the conditional love and the constant rejection. So, she opened up Craigslist and started searching. She knew exactly what she wanted: sterling silver, an amethyst stone, something that would match the aesthetic of the family ring she'd seen on her siblings' hands, and she found one for about $50. Mykelti purchased her own Claddagh ring. She paid for it herself, shipped it to the house, and when it arrived, she put it on. She wore that ring for years. She wore it as a statement. She wore it as proof that she could give herself what her father refused to provide. She wore it as a symbol of her own worth, even when Kody tried to convince her she had none. That ring became more than just a piece of jewelry. It became her armor, her declaration of independence, her middle finger to a system that told her she wasn't enough. The heartbreak behind that purchase is staggering. Imagine being so desperate to belong that you buy your own symbol of family inclusion. Imagine feeling so rejected by your own father that you have to create your own sense of worth. Imagine knowing that something your siblings received as a gift of love you had to purchase on a secondhand website because you weren't deemed worthy. Mykelti didn't just buy a ring that day. She bought herself a painful reminder that in the Brown family, love wasn't free. It had to be earned. It had to be performed. It had to be bought. And the cruelest part, nobody knew. Christine didn't know because Robyn had told her Kody handled it. Kody didn't care enough to notice or ask. Mykelti just quietly bought that ring, put it on, and pretended like everything was fine. She pretended like she belonged. She pretended like she was included. However, inside, she was carrying the weight of knowing that she'd been excluded from something that should have been her birthright. She finally took that ring off when she met her husband, Tony, symbolically letting go of the pain it represented. However, the contrast between Christine's parenting and Kody's control was about to become even more obvious. The difference between how Christine and Kody approached parenting Mykelti is absolutely night and day. And nowhere is that more obvious than in how they handled her wild teenage years. Christine has been incredibly open about the fact that Mykelti went through a rebellious phase. And her approach was simple: show up, be present, love unconditionally. No matter what Mykelti did, no matter how wild things got, Christine was there. And the stories that never made it onto Sister Wives, they're absolutely wild. Mykelti and Aspen apparently threw knives at each other. Actual knives. Just let that sink in for a second. Christine's house was the place where things happened, where the kids felt free to be themselves, even if that meant occasionally launching sharp objects at each other. Mykelti went to a college party while she was still in high school, got extremely intoxicated, and called her mom for help. And Christine, she got in the car and picked her up. No questions asked, no shame, no punishment, designed to break her daughter's spirit. Christine told Mykelti that as long as she called, she would always come get her. The only rule was never drive drunk. That's it. Christine dealt with the girlfriend situation, the hickeys, the rebellion, the experimentation, all of it. And she handled it with grace. She set boundaries. Sure, no closed doors with boys or girls after the hickey incident, but she never made Mykelti feel like she had to earn Christine's love. She never withheld family symbols or religious ceremonies. She never told her daughter that she wasn't good enough. Christine understood that teenagers make mistakes, that they explore, that they push boundaries, and that a parent's job is to be there through all of it. Kody's approach, completely opposite. He kept a running list of Mykelti's failures. Every party, every act of rebellion, every choice that didn't align with his rigid expectations became evidence that she was misbehaving. He didn't see a young person trying to figure out who she was. He saw disobedience. He saw a daughter who refused to perform the way he wanted, and instead of meeting her with understanding, he met her with punishment. The Claddagh ring became a tool of control. The bat mitzvah became leverage. His love became something she had to work for, something she had to earn through perfect behavior and total compliance. During the Patreon conversation, Christine and David discussed their philosophy on parenting, and Christine made something very clear. She loved her kids because she brought them into this world. She felt lucky to have them. She appreciated them as the blessings they were. She never, not once, thought that her children had to earn her love or perform for her affection. David echoed that sentiment, talking about how children are gifts and should be treated as such. The contrast with Kody's approach couldn't be more stark. However, Kody's control didn't stop at withholding rings. His lectures about purity and hormones were about to reveal even deeper hypocrisy. After the hickey incident exposed Mykelti's relationship with her girlfriend, Kody did what any controlling father steeped in purity culture would do. He sat her down for a lecture. However, this wasn't just any talk about boundaries or safety or healthy relationships. No. Kody gave Mykelti a speech about hormones in the mouth. Yes, you read that right. Hormones in the mouth. He told her that she shouldn't kiss anyone before marriage because of the hormones that get exchanged through kissing. The entire conversation was absolutely ridiculous. And looking back on it now, Mykelti can't help but laugh at the absurdity. However, here's where the hypocrisy gets rich. This is the same Kody Brown who had 4 wives. The same man who built an entire television show around his plural marriage and his relationships with multiple women. The same man who clearly had no problem with physical intimacy before or outside of traditional marriage boundaries. Yet, he was sitting there lecturing his teenage daughter about not kissing anyone because of some pseudo-scientific nonsense about hormones. The double standard is absolutely staggering. Kody's approach to Mykelti's sexuality wasn't about protecting her or guiding her. It was about control. It was about making sure she fit into the narrow box he'd created for how his daughters should behave. When Mykelti explored her attraction to both genders, when she kissed her girlfriend, when she acted like a normal teenager experimenting with relationships, Kody saw it as a threat to his authority. He couldn't control who she was attracted to, so he tried to control her actions. He used fear and shame and ridiculous talks about hormones to try to force compliance. And the purity culture messaging didn't stop there. The Claddagh ring itself was tied up in these ideas about worthiness and virtue. While Mykelti insists it wasn't technically a purity ring, the symbolism was similar. It represented love, loyalty, and friendship, but it also represented belonging to the family, being worthy of the family name, fitting into Kody's vision of what a Brown daughter should be. And when Mykelti didn't fit that vision, When she kissed girls and went to parties and threw knives with her sister, Kody decided she didn't deserve the ring. The irony is almost painful. Kody preached about not kissing before marriage while having multiple romantic relationships himself. He talked about earning love and respect while showing his daughter none. He created this whole framework of purity and worthiness while living a life that completely contradicted those values. And Mykelti was left trying to navigate the impossible standards, knowing that no matter what she did, she would never be good enough in her father's eyes. During the Patreon conversation, Mykelti reflected on how she felt like she and her siblings always had to perform for Kody. They couldn't just be themselves. They had to act a certain way, follow certain rules, meet certain expectations, or risk losing his approval entirely. However, Robyn's long game of manipulation and eventual abandonment was perhaps the most twisted part of this entire nightmare. Robyn's manipulation of Mykelti was a masterclass in psychological warfare. And the most disturbing part is how calculated it all was. When Robyn entered the Brown family, Mykelti was only about 12 years old. She was at that vulnerable age where she desperately wanted to fit in, desperately wanted to be accepted, desperately wanted someone to see her, and Robyn saw an opportunity. She saw a girl who felt like an outcast among her older siblings, a girl who was struggling to find her place in this massive plural family, and she swooped in like a predator targeting prey. Robyn made Mykelti feel special. She made her feel valued. She positioned herself as the one person who truly understood what Mykelti was going through. While Mykelti's older sisters apparently didn't agree with her wild behavior and judged her for enjoying the world outside of their restrictive lifestyle, Robyn acted like she accepted Mykelti exactly as she was. She called Mykelti my baby. She acted like this devoted stepmother who would always be there, who would always protect her, who would always have her back. And Mykelti, desperate for that acceptance, fell for it completely. However, Robyn wasn't being kind out of the goodness of her heart. She was using Mykelti as a pawn in her own twisted game. While Robyn was making Mykelti feel loved and accepted, she was simultaneously pitting her against Christine. She was creating doubt in Mykelti's mind about her own mother. She was gathering information about what happened at Christine's house, all the rebellion and parties and wild behavior, and then feeding that information straight to Kody. She was exploiting Mykelti's vulnerability to destabilize Christine's relationship with her daughter and to give Kody more ammunition to judge and reject Mykelti. The lie about the Clad ring was just one piece of this larger manipulation. By telling Christine that Kody had bought Mykelti a ring, Robyn ensured that Christine wouldn't fight for her daughter. She created a situation where Mykelti felt abandoned by both parents, unsure why she wasn't getting the symbol that everyone else received, confused about why her mother wasn't standing up for her. And all the while, Robyn was there playing the role of supportive stepmother, making Mykelti believe she was the only one who truly cared. Mykelti was essentially handed over to a wolf. She thought she'd found safety and acceptance with Robyn. However, what she actually found was a manipulative woman who used her as a tool to hurt Christine and gain power within the family. Robyn didn't love Mykelti. She used her. And now, years later, the truth of that exploitation is painfully obvious, because where is Robyn now? When she talks about her future plans, when she discusses buying a new house and having grandchildren come visit, does she ever mention Mykelti? Does she talk about Mykelti's kids coming to stay? Does she reference this daughter she claimed to love so deeply? Absolutely not. Complete silence. The pattern of conditional love in the Brown family was about to reveal itself as even more toxic than anyone imagined. Mykelti's experience with the Clad ring wasn't an isolated incident. It was a symptom of something much darker happening in the Brown family. A pattern of conditional love that poisoned every relationship Kody had with his children. During that Patreon conversation, Mykelti made a revelation that should shock everyone who ever watched Sister Wives. She stated that as the kids got older, Kody's love became conditional. It was based on how much they respected him and how willing they were to fork over what they wanted for him. Let that sink in. Kody's own daughter is stating that his love depended on obedience and performance. Mykelti went even further. She stated the kids felt like they had to perform for their father. Not just behave or follow rules, but actually perform. They had to act a certain way to earn his approval. They had to put on a show. They couldn't be themselves because they were never sure what version of Kody they were going to get or what the environment would demand from them. Even truly, one of the youngest didn't know how to act around her own father because the expectations kept shifting. Christine had to perform too. constantly trying to get into Kody's good graces, constantly walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting her behavior to earn scraps of affection. The performance extended to the show itself. The kids had to pretend that Kody was a great father. They had to smile for the cameras and act like everything was fine when behind the scenes they were being told they weren't good enough. They were being told to earn love that should have been freely given. They were being manipulated into believing that parental affection was something conditional, something they had to work for, something they could lose if they stepped out of line. Christine's perspective during this conversation was striking. She stated she never once thought her kids had to earn her love. She loved them because she brought them into the world. She felt lucky to have them. She saw them as blessings, not punishments. She understood that not everyone can have children, and she appreciated what she had. The idea that kids should have to earn parental love was, in her words, a bunch of crap. And she's absolutely right. David echoed that sentiment, talking about how children are gifts and should be treated as such. He emphasized that being allowed to be around someone else's children is a huge blessing. The contrast between this healthy parenting philosophy and Kody's toxic approach couldn't be more obvious. Christine and David understand that unconditional love is the foundation of a healthy parent-child relationship. Kody turned love into currency, something to be withheld or granted based on whether his children met his impossible standards. Mykelti also touched on something incredibly important. She stated there was a point when Kody just loved them, probably when they were very young. However, as they got older, his love became conditional based on respect and obedience and performance. The lasting damage from this toxic environment was still revealing itself, and the path to healing was going to be long and painful. Today, Mykelti and Christine are close. They've rebuilt their relationship and worked through the damage that Kody and Robyn caused. However, that healing didn't happen overnight, and it didn't come without serious effort. For years, Mykelti felt distant from her mother, confused about why Christine wasn't fighting for her, unsure whether she could trust her, and all of that distance was created by Robyn's lies and Kody's manipulation. The fact that they've managed to overcome that and build a strong mother-daughter bond is a testament to both of their resilience and commitment to healing, but the scars from those years are still visible. Mykelti is very vocal about processing her childhood trauma, and she's not afraid to talk about the harm that was done to her. She shares stories on her Patreon and social media about growing up in that environment, about the conditional love, about the manipulation, about feeling like she had to earn her place in her own family. And while some people give Mykelti criticism for being so open, the truth is she deserves to have a voice. She deserves to process her experiences publicly if that's what helps her heal. She lived through this nightmare and she has every right to talk about it. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of Mykelti's journey is that she still hasn't fully recognized the extent of Robyn's toxicity. She's very vocal about the harm that Mary caused her, and she's made it clear that she won't allow Mary in her life or around her children. However, when it comes to Robyn, Mykelti seems to have a harder time seeing the manipulation for what it was. Hopefully, as she continues to process and heal, she'll come to understand that Robyn's psychological warfare was just as damaging, if not more so, than any other harm she experienced. Robyn didn't yell or hit, but she twisted reality, pitted family members against each other, and exploited a vulnerable child for her own gain. As for Kody, the relationship between him and Mykelti remains deeply fractured. He made his daughter feel like she had to earn his love. He withheld family symbols and religious ceremonies as punishment. He judged her for exploring her identity and experimenting as a teenager. He created an environment where she never felt safe being herself. And now, years later, he's facing the consequences of those choices. His children are speaking out, they're sharing their stories, they're exposing the conditional love and the toxic dynamics that defined their childhoods. The damage Kody and Robyn did to Christine's children is disgusting. So Robyn could get her needs met, so she could destabilize Christine and position herself as the favorite wife, so Kody could maintain control over his family. They sacrificed children's mental health and emotional well-being for their own selfish gains. And now, the truth is finally coming out. So, what do you think about this parenting scandal? Should Kody be held accountable for making his daughter buy her own family symbol? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know your perspective. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Brown family drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Soul Sister Wives for more shocking revelation. Trust me, the next video is going to expose even more secrets you won't believe.